How's it going, everyone? Salvi from Weather Storm Drop. That was today. It's November 14th, 2021, and today we're going to focus on the snowstorm that's currently impacting the Northeast and see how much more snow you could expect in the Northeast and where exactly you could experience your first snowfall in the Northeast for tonight into early Monday. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar as of right now. And of course, we're seeing snow pretty much scattered all around the Northeast at this time, as we do see some patches of rain, but snow in the higher elevations as well. We do, of course, see rain right around the Great Lakes, and this, of course, as a result of the Great Lakes being in lower elevation compared to the rest of the areas overland. And also the lakes still, unlike the air temperature, lakes water takes a lot more time to react to changes in temperature, so it's going to take a lot more time for the lakes to cool to be as cold as the air temperature for there to be snow over the lake. So as a result, we're seeing rain for the most part over the Great Lakes at this time, but outside of that, we're seeing snow. This extends to southern Canada as well, and we're still seeing some scattered snow showers throughout Michigan, and this extends to upstate New York, the Adirondacks, as well as some of the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania now seeing a little bit of snow. So for a lot of you guys, this is probably the first snowstorm you're going to experience for the winter season, the first of potentially many snowstorms you're going to experience over the winter season. And some of these areas could receive accumulating snowfall, and this is as a result of just enough cold air for the precipitation to fall in the amount of snow. And while this clipper system isn't necessarily extremely strong to dump a heavy amount of snow, it's still enough to at least cause some problems on the roadways, and it might be and you might need to shovel out the snow in some of these areas where you could receive up to 5 inches in localized areas, especially in the higher elevations. But outside of that, while you might not see accumulating snowfall, there's still that possibility you could experience your first snowfall, which for a lot of you guys, I'm sure it's a sight to see, especially since it's been over half a year since you last seen snow in a lot of these areas. So this might be your first night you could experience snow for this winter, which is definitely something you'd like to see for some of you guys who definitely enjoy the snow. So to forecast this to move into the future with this Futurecast radar, you see the snow is expected to move further northwestward, and you might be wondering, especially along the cities along the Interstate 95 corridor, such as Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia, you might be wondering if you could get maybe a little bit of snow out of this, and I'd say the chances are very unlikely at this point. It seems like temperature will just be just a few degrees too warm for the precipitation to fall into snowfall. There is that small possibility, but it's very, very unlikely, I'd say. So along the coast, the Northeast cities along the coast, I wouldn't hold your breath to receive your first snowfall this time, but in places further northwestward, maybe even as far southeast as northwestern New Jersey in the higher elevations, you could experience your first snowfall. So you definitely want to pay attention, and maybe closer to Albany you could experience your first snowfall, and a lot upstate New York could experience their first snowfall. So you certainly want to pay close attention to this. Really all depends on temperature over the next 24 hours to see if you'll receive any sort of snowfall. Taking a look at what the GFS model is stating at this point, let me go full screen here. So taking a look at what the GFS model is saying, you see that this clipper system is expected to move eastward, but eventually it shouldn't be very strong as it moves in the Northeast, but it should develop rapidly just off the New England coast. But by the time it develops at a rapid rate, it's going to be well off the Northeast coast, so we likely won't see any sort of major snow out of this, which is good news for some, but some you might prefer the heavier snow. I personally do want to see some heavier snowfall at this point, but it's certainly good news in case you're driving potentially Monday morning, since you of course don't want to see heavy snowfall on the roads during your commute for Monday morning. So that's definitely good news for those people. But taking a look at what's going to happen behind the system, you see there's going to be a lot of cold air filtering in right around the northeast for this week, which is something you certainly need to pay close attention to throughout the northeast. The temperatures will be colder than average, and a lot of these areas could experience temperatures in the 40s and even 30s as high temperatures in some areas. So you certainly need to bring those coats out, because we're definitely entering the season where we will begin to see a lot more snowfall for the 2021 winter season, and a lot more cold air as well. And the GFS, and in terms of the amount of snow the GFS model wants to bring to the northeast, it isn't a lot of snow, because like I said, this clipper system isn't necessarily very powerful. You see that the GFS model is taking a good area of 3 to 6 inches, which is enough to cause some havoc in some areas, but we need to keep in mind that the GFS model is assuming that the ratio between the precipitable rainfall and snowfall is right around 1 inch. 1 inch equates to 10 inches, and we can't always go by that because every snowstorm is different, and depending on how much water content there is in each snowflake, then the ratio does not really apply to this specific snowstorm. And especially since this snow will fall in areas where temperatures will just barely be around freezing, it's difficult to forecast if the 1 inch of rain will exactly equate to 10 inches of snow, since the snowflakes might be very moist as a result of the warm temperature while it's snowing in the northeast. And also the GFS model pretty much forecasts how much snow falls from the sky rather than how much snow actually accumulates on the ground. And since we're still very early in the winter season, not even in the winter yet, and we've of course experienced a lot warmer temperatures before this clipper system came through, then it's going to take a while for the snowfall to actually stick onto the ground and cool down the surface enough for the snow to accumulate. So we can't take this as these snowfall accumulation forecasts at face value for the GFS, since it isn't representative of how much actual snow you'll receive in the northeast. But you still should expect a good area of 1 to 3, and in the purples potentially 3 to 6 inches out of this. So you definitely need to keep that in mind throughout the northeast. Taking a look at what the European model is saying, it's mainly forecasting the same thing. We're only around 24 hours out from this event, so we're pretty much right. The event is happening right now, so of course there isn't a lot of uncertainty at this point. So for the most part, you should expect 1 to 3 inches throughout the northeast for this week, and potentially outside of that you could experience the first snowfall. I won't rule that out, so make sure to pay close attention to our radar, because in some areas you might see some surprise snowfall for tonight, which would certainly be good news for a lot of people who want to experience snowfall after it's been such a long time. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind throughout the northeast for this week. The temperatures could be cold enough for first snowfall for a lot of you guys, and we're going to see a big cool down throughout the northeast for this coming week. Now taking a look at the Futurecast radar, you're going to see that there's a clipper system. It's going to move northeastward, not bring much more snow to the northeast, so it won't be much of a threat ahead of time. So throughout the northeast, you won't need to pay close attention to this beyond, I'd say, Monday. So which is good news for a lot of you guys who plan to commute during Monday and who don't want to experience heavy snowfall. And in terms of beyond the Monday mark, there doesn't seem to be another impending snowstorm on the way. We could see some precipitation right around the Pacific Northwest and snow in the higher elevation, but you see in the near future, it seems like most of the snow is going to stay out of the United States, but we certainly need to pay close attention, because weather could change quickly, as you know. Taking a look at my snowfall forecast you see, I'm mainly forecasting an area of 1-3 inches throughout Michigan, northern Indiana, Ohio, and for a lot of these places, the snowfall already accumulated for you guys, so there isn't much more snowfall to experience in a lot of these areas. But in total, I'd expect 3 to 5 inches to be the maximum area where you could receive the most snow, right around the northwestern portion of Pennsylvania and the southwestern portion of upstate New York, and we could see 3 to 5 inches right around the Adirondacks as well, and 1 to 3 inches throughout the northern portion of New Hampshire, Vermont, and as well as Maine. So that's definitely something you guys want to keep in mind at higher elevations, because you could experience accumulating snowfall and you might need to bring the shovels out for tomorrow. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys all have a great day.